Welcome to the first instance of the Services Roadshow by Base4NFDI, where currently funded basic services pitch themselves in 10 minutes, followed by a non-public Q&A session, moderated by our team. Our next basic service to be presented is PID4NFDI, a service for persistent identifiers. Stage is yours.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me well. Welcome to everyone here. I would like to give you a short overview of our base service, PID4NFDI. I will do that on behalf of the PID4NFDI team. And I would like to start with a very fundamental question, why PIDs matter. So PIDs provide persistent, globally unique and resolvable identification of research resources. The journal articles, research data, persons, organizations, projects, software, instruments, grants, physical objects, and many more. So PIDs come with metadata that provides context information about research resources. And at best, this metadata is standardized and interoperable, has rich and sustainable descriptions, and incorporates other PIDs. Using PIDs reduces administrative overhead. For example, manual ingesting and updating of metadata. PIDs also help in reducing errors through automated processes and validation. And finally, they can be useful for the whole research lifecycle. But in order to fulfill these functions and potentials, PIDs need some requirements. So first of all, they need an awareness for their potential to unlock the described promises. Second, the use of international standards. Third, and maybe most important of all of them, social and financial commitment for persistence, because persistence is not just a technical issue, but one that also needs to answer the question of who takes responsibility for the maintenance in the future. And fourth and last, they need consciousness for their necessity, because PIDs are the backbone of fair research data management. So what is, in comparison to that, connection metadata? So connection metadata is metadata that represents relationships, connections between entities. For example, a person authors a paper, or an institution funds a research output. So imagine you're working on a project that builds on data from a previous study. Connection metadata would allow you to trace back through the network of related outputs, contributors, and institutions, ensuring you have all the context needed for your work. So by capturing these connections, we create a more integrated and transparent research environment. To underline this, that PIDs are key for fair research data management, let's have a brief look at the FAIR data principles. You can see them here, and the light blue bold highlighted parts are principles directly related to PIDs and their impact. And as you can see, PIDs are needed almost for all principles. So they are a core feature of making data fair. So let me give you a short insight into what we did during the last year. We're sometimes approached with the question, why do we want to build another PID for the NFDI if there are so many around already? So let me start with what we do not do. We do not develop a new PID, nor will we build up a new PID provider. On the contrary, we're building up a service of existing PID infrastructure, of mature and also emerging PIDs, with a central objective of consolidating and evolving the PID service landscape within the NFDI at all levels: technical, organizational, methodological, and in communication. We started in the beginning of this year and we'll go on into the next phase, the integration phase from January 25 onwards. We have 4 partners, the TIB Hannover, the GWDG DataSite, and the Helmholtz Open Science Office. And with DataSite and the GWDG, we have 2 PID providers on board. So that gives us, our use case partners and the stakeholders, the opportunity to work directly with the PID provider on integrating PIDs, checking metadata quality, or whatever is needed. During the first year, we put a lot of effort in analyzing the NFDI PID landscape. We did a survey, we did in-depth interviews, metadata analysis, always with the aim of evaluating optimization potential of existing PID solutions and for better integration of PIDs into the NFDI consortia. We developed concepts for metadata interoperability, aiming at harmonizing existing PID standards. We developed a concept for NFDI-specific training formats, and we're working on an overview of existing PID providers to make information more easy to find. And we're also working on an NFDI-wide PID guideline in alignment with the national PID strategy that's been done by the PID network projects. So what are the plans now for the next phase? What's the vision? So in general, we are aiming at making life and work easier for the stakeholders by building up of what we call a PID coordination hub. So as an operational service, the PID coordination hub shall be a central point of contact for all questions relating to PIDs, from fundamental questions on PIDs and its benefits to complex tasks of integrating multiple and emerging PIDs into the whole research lifecycle. To give you some examples, in terms of governance, we will provide a decision matrix that contains transparent information on membership models, on conditions and costs of PIDs that will ease PID provider selection. And as mentioned already, we will work on NFDI-wide PID guidelines that support the creation of a PID policy. We do that in exchange with the NFDI consortia and in collaboration with the PID network. And in connection with this, we will also integrate a compliance testing tool for PID policies, also to prepare for better integration with the European Open Science Cloud. In terms of metadata and interoperability, we're assessing relevant metadata schemas and standards that are used within the NFDI. We will provide tools for monitoring the quality of the metadata in terms of in forms of dashboards, and we provide metadata completeness checklists for repositories. And again, here in alignment with the European endeavors, we will integrate tools to create, for example, custom metadata schemas with a data type registry, or we'll integrate an EOS PID meta resolver that resolves PIDs from different providers through one uniform tool. We will provide curated training materials, and we're open for consultations and training sessions. And during the next phase, we will pay special attention to PIDs for specific use cases, such as PIDs for instruments, physical objects, high granular data, and on a more exploratory level on PIDs for grants and projects. And we have two focus groups, ELNs and DMPs, and here we work together with the respective working groups and base services. So to give you a bit more of a concrete vision, here's an example of how a PID selection guide could look like. That is a tool developed by the Dutch Digital Heritage Network to assist in selecting PIDs. It revolves around guiding users through a structured series of statements to determine the most suitable PID system for your needs. We will reuse and extend this tool and align it with the NFDI specific requirements, and also take the POSI principles, the principles of open science, into account. Another tool that we're currently working on is a cookbook for simple PID registration. It offers practical guidance on first steps for researchers, but also organizations or repository managers who are looking to implement PIDs in their workflows. It's still work in progress, and we will continue to grow during the next project phase, and it's dedicated especially for users who need fundamental knowledge. And now we come to the next question, which is here about which PID can be used for organizations. And while you're writing down the right answer, I would like to sum up. So the broad use and integration of persistent identifiers will support fair and efficient research data management within the NFDI and beyond, making it easier to openly and reliably connect research inputs, activities, and outputs. So if you're facing challenges with PID integration, if you want to integrate new or more PIDs, or if you want to share best or even bad practices, please get in touch with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Team PID. Thank you, Thorsten. We close the recording now and begin the non-public Q&A session.